Hello there. This week marks 2 years since the arrival of our Q4 E-Tron in November 2021. So I thought I'd do a little update on how things have been over the last year and overall since we got the car. This particular Q4 is the Q4 40 S-Line. So rear wheel drive, round about 200 horsepower and round about 77 kilowatt hour usable battery. This particular model has recently been replaced in the UK by the 45 model, which has about an extra 80 horsepower, cuts about a second and a half off 0 to 60 time, and is slightly more efficient for around about the same price. So after 2 years, this one's no longer current. However, having looked at the press release for the new model, there's barely any exterior differences. It's really hard to tell that this is the older model. I'd also point out this one has zero options other than the Typhoon Grey metallic paint. So how does it hold it up after 2 years of family use? Exterior still looks pretty good, and the interior, apart from the piano black, which was a complaint all the way through, is held up really well. I'll come back to that later on. We're currently at just over 25,000 miles in the 2 years. I've not been taking it easy on the car. It's been used for everything that you would expect a normal family car to be used for. We use it for so much that I actually got rid of my Discovery 2 because it was barely getting used. So in addition to my two sons being in the back all the time, both of whom are over 6 foot, I've filled up the back with furniture. I've filled up the roof with furniture. We've used it for taking paddle boards and gear on day trips. Used it for camping trips. We've taken the kids and the dogs away to centre parks in it. So it's just been used like your typical family car. I've even got over my initial range anxiety and taken it down to the wire and got down as far as having limited performance with less than 50% power available. Over 90% of my charging has been done for free on AC chargers. So it has spent a lot of time sitting on chargers. But it's time when the car would normally be sitting doing nothing anyway. So when the kids are at football training, or when I'm at work, or if we're going to be out for a few hours, we'll park it on a charger. It would sit and do nothing anyway. In the last year, I tried to get the worst possible range to make a video, so I did everything wrong. I took the car out at -9 in the morning, preheated it to like over 20 degrees every time I was going to drive it. We had a number of days when the temperatures were fairly low. I did lots of short drives with not enough time to heat up the battery. And eventually I got it down to 2.2 miles per kilowatt hour, over 100 miles with about 30 miles left. So that gives a worst case range when you're really, really trying of about 130 miles. At the end of summer this year, I got the other end of the scale with 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour averaged over a distance of 319 miles, although there was some charging in there. So it wasn't a full charge range. However, theoretically, that should give around 330 miles of range. In the last year, I did get one charging error when I was trying to do an AC charge, and it restricted the charge level to about 3 kilowatts. But I disconnected the charge, plugged it back in, and the charger went back to its normal, which gets me about 10.5, 11 kilowatt. In terms of driving, I find the setup really good. It's got a nice, comfortable ride. It's not insanely fast like Teslas and other models seem to be doing, but not to 60 in just over 8 seconds. It's about the same as my old 520 diesel. That's plenty when you've got kids and dogs in the back, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a huge fan of the pedestrian warning noise. I think our BMW i3 does it better. But it's there. It's just a bit more subtle, I think. The interior is the bit I think will surprise people the most. The amount of space for a car this size is pretty good. So I thought I'd show you from the back here. I'm 6'5" and I weigh a lot. I've got plenty of space when I'm driving it. There's plenty of space for my kids in the back. They're both over 6 foot. Plenty of space in the boot for the dogs. It's 520 litres boot space. And it's got a lot of useful touches, like the bottle holders in each of the doors. We've got 3-zone climate control in this one, so the kids can have the temperature as they want it in the back. Door bins are pretty decent sized. There's a reasonable amount of space in the centre console for storage. I do think, for the money, which at the time was about £48,000, Audi probably could have splashed out a bit on a rear armrest, which my 20-year-old Discovery had, and a camera or even front parking sensors rather than just rear parking sensors. We did add one accessory straight away, which was a custom boot liner with a dog bed and a bumper protector, so that these two don't make a mess of it on the way in and out. We've also got screen protectors on the MMI and virtual cockpit and the piano black on the centre console. I've done a video review of that. I'll put a link up above if you want to see the review of the protection. But it has cut down on glare significantly and far less fingerprints now. The only other accessory I've got is the Fitcamx dash cam. Again, I'll put a link up above if you want to watch a video about that. Here it is capturing some special Mercedes driving on the M8. I have had the car back at the dealership a couple of times this year. One, to track down a mystery noise, which turned out to be the tyres that were fitted last November, and they're not apparently completely round. And the second, for a software update to the latest 3.2 version of the software, which added some functionality on the app. 2 years was also the time it was used for service, so 2 years and unlimited mileage for the first service in the UK, although I believe that's different in other markets. And because I've got this through a company on a salary sacrifice thing, they pick the servicing option. So it was picked up and serviced at a quick fit garage and returned to me. I have no idea what the service cost. All I know is it went away, it came back, and the service has been updated on the MMI screen. And that's it. It's not a dramatic review. The car just behaves like a car. It's not being dramatic. It doesn't particularly stand out. It's not particularly fast. It's reasonably efficient, but not outstandingly efficient. It's incredibly cheap to run if you can find free chargers, which I regularly do. Would I have preferred getting upgraded to the latest model with slightly more performance and slightly better efficiency? Yes. Am I gutted? No, because as I said before, it's plenty fast enough, and everything else hasn't really changed for the latest version. Okay, that's all I've got for you in this video. Remember to like and subscribe. If you've got any comments for ideas for other videos, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.